Good morning. I'm sitting here at our yard in Greeley, Colorado. I was just reading a thing about 10 Roads Express closing down. As most of you know, 10 Roads Express hauls U.S. mail. A lot of people are freaking out about that, but I mean, let's break it down. First of all, one of the main, well, I don't know about the main reason, but one of the reasons why 10 Roads was losing business was because the post office was beginning to use brokers and more outside carriers. That cut into their profit, my understanding, like up to 70%. So that, sorry, I got distracted. 70% is a pretty big hit. You know, you would think this time of year they would be busy, and they probably would be. Another thing is, I mean, hauling mail and hauling packages, I mean, let's face it, the U.S. Postal Service is not really something that you want to hang your hat on. You got to diversify. See, where I'm working right now, our biggest customer was Tyson. Not the chicken part, but the IBP, the beef and some pork. We kind of saw the writing on the wall with with Tyson a while back. Well, I was still in Alaska. This company, I used to work here before. And so when I came back, they were telling me about that. They were like, yeah, we're kind of trying to spread out a little bit. They did cut their fleet by about 20 trucks, which is a lot for a company. We had like 50, now they have 30. But, I mean, we stay busy because they have picked up some new customers. But when you're locked in exclusively to hauling mail, that kind of hurts you a little bit. Also, they said the post office or the postal service was insourcing more. In other words, they're hauling more freight, more of their own stuff. You got to understand something about the post office. A lot of people don't realize this. The post office is the only government agency that is a for-profit business. In other words, it was originally set up to fund itself instead of taxpayers. Now, I know what people are saying. We bail out the post office all the time, so they do get taxpayer dollars now. That's true. I'm not disputing that. But it was originally set up to be for profit. In other words, it was going to generate revenue, its own revenue, which is something nothing else in the federal government does. So it's a bit of a different animal than a traditional government contract. And so they're going to try to find the cheapest and most cost-effective way to do things, unlike most of the rest of the government that just loves to just throw money at everything because it's not their money. It is the post office's money. So that one doesn't really bother me. J.B. Hunt just closed its facility at the Home Depot in Georgia, the Home Depot Distribution Center in Lithia, Georgia. That one, I don't know, is that so much trucking or is that the Home Depot? The Home Depot's taken a bit of a hit lately. So I don't know. I don't know if you can blame that on freight. I mean, I guess you can blame it on freight as far as like Home Depot's not moving as much product. Or maybe not in the southeastern U.S. I don't know. So I don't know what you would blame that on. Oh, I got to get some heat on back here. A little bit of heat. It's about 9 degrees outside. I got my APU going. So I don't know. we're definitely in a slump, and we've been in a slump for a couple of years. CRST, I just read this morning, is cutting a couple of thousand trucks from their OTR fleet. It's a lot of trucks. Now some people are saying, it's a small percentage of their total fleet. I don't know how big KLLM is. I know they own Frozen Food Express. So I don't know. It's definitely cause for concern in a way, but look, I don't think JB Hunt's not going out of business anytime soon, man. JB Hunt originally started and made its reputation on undercutting everyone else. They could haul freight cheaper than anyone else because, back in the day, they had stripped down trucks. I mean, it was just plain Jane stripped down trucks. Whatever just the basic that you needed to go down the road. 3 gauges on the dash and 9 gears, and, no engine brakes. I think at one time they didn't even have stereos in the truck. So the drivers made decent money back in the day, don't get me wrong. But yeah, JB Hunt was known as a no-frills trucking company. And that's how they made their money. If, this is 30 years ago, they were hauling freight for like 70 cents a mile. And they were able to do that because they had so many trucks. They made it up in volume, But, they've since kind of, fattened up a little bit, let's say. They're moving more freight. They got better equipment. They've had to compete for drivers back in the day. Not so much today, maybe, but back in the day they did. So I don't think JB Hunt is going out of business anytime soon. Now, JB Hunt is one of those companies that would love it if all the small companies and all the owner-operators either went out of business or got absorbed by JB Hunt. And they've absorbed a lot of companies over the years. But I kind of see this as a realignment of the trucking industry. A lot of people are freaking out over it. I'm not freaking out so much. Like I said, I see it as a realignment. Now we get rid of a lot of the immigrant drivers, a lot of the illegal immigrant drivers. We have a lot of these ghost companies out there hauling freight that change DOT numbers every 6 months. We cut those guys out. If we get rid of those guys, that would help. How many trucks is that? I don't know. I don't know if anybody's got a number exactly on that. But that would definitely help. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. Anyway, just a short video on that. I heard about 10 Roads the other day, and I think they bought out Beco out of the Dakotas. I think they're out of the Dakota. Whatever. I think they bought out Beco though. Correct me if I'm wrong. I had a chance, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I had a chance to work for, I think it was Beco. They were hauling mail. They had a route where they actually switched trucks. They're in Shamrock, Texas, where I live. And you'd go from there to Sullivan, Missouri, and then you turn around and go back to Shamrock, and you'd swap out with a driver. You go home, you drop the trailer there or wherever, and then another guy pick it up and take it wherever, in New Mexico or whatever. And the pay wasn't bad, and it's a steady route. I mean, you run the same route back and forth. But I didn't take it simply because it was hauling mail, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Do I want to hang my future on hauling mail in today's world? Same thing with driving for these tours. Before COVID, no, it was right after COVID. Right after COVID, they had one of these companies that you do these concert tours, things like that. They were hiring, and I'm like, yeah, no, because what if another pandemic hits and all of a sudden no one's on tour anymore? That's not a look. People always got to eat, and people are not going to stop ordering crap from Amazon and eBay and whatever. So that part of the industry may realign itself, and they may cut the fat on that somewhat, but it's not going to go away completely. And I'm not saying the U.S. Post Office is going to go away completely, but it'll go down a lot quicker than people needing to eat. And hauling equipment for bands and crap like that, or Broadway shows, that could go away like that. I mean, it could, not only for something like the pandemic, but you look at AI. You've already got a couple of songs out from non-humans that are charting, that are in, that are like top 10, top 20 songs. It's completely AI, right? There's going to be no touring with that. And there won't be long they'll be replacing Hollywood celebrities, with AI. I'm not saying that industry is going away completely either, but it's going to be a small niche of people doing it. Anyway, I always like to stick with stuff that I know people are going to need. Driving in the oil field, hauling food, hauling certain freight. Alaska's booming up there if guys want to go up there, because they're still developing up there. That kind of stuff. I tend to stay away from the post office and tour, doing tours and stuff like that. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to go in here and see if they can get me in for a bee service. I-70 was closed last night around Deer Trail, Colorado, because the road was really slick. Somebody jackknifed right in the construction zone. They always do it right in the construction zone, where you can't get around them. Go figure. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.